sometimes, the sheer amount of new music coming out in the independent scene, it can feel less like an opportunity and more like a challenge.
It's an information overload, absolutely.
Exactly. If you're really trying to stay informed, to know what's actually breaking through, filtering all of that, it can be kind of paralyzing. And we're not talking about mainstream hits. We're talking about the real heart of the rock ecosystem.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where curation becomes not just helpful, but I mean, it's essential. It's essential if you want to appreciate the actual trends. We need platforms that don't just, list a bunch of tracks. They need to intentionally segment them to provide these distinct sonic universes so we can understand the context of why a particular track is even important.
And that is the beautiful shortcut we are taking today. Our mission briefing is a deep, synthesized look at the indie rock scene, specifically as it's curated by This Is Only Rock Radio, or TIORR, which is based out of Spain. We've pulled their definitive charts from the very first week of January 2026, specifically Monday, January 5th. And this isn't just one list, it's a stack of 5 distinct top 10 charts, giving us a snapshot of 50 unique tracks and artists.
And this is just critical data for any learner, for anyone trying to get a handle on this. TIORR doesn't just categorize for the sake of convenience. They're actually segmenting their audience into 5 really specific ecosystems.
Yeah, what are they?
You have TIORR 1, TIORR 2, TIORR 3, and then the more specialized ones. TIORR Groovers and TIORR Emerging Artists. So our goal is to use this segmentation as a kind of key.
A key? I like that.
Yeah, to quickly grasp the breadth, the technical specifics, and the underlying trends of independent rock right now. We're really trying to move past just the titles and dig into the implied sound design and the genre evolution.
And crucially, before we dive into all of the analysis, let's give everyone the access point, because we know you're going to want to hear the music that defines these 50 entries.
You have to.
You have to. So TIORR is this globally connected entity. They're part of the broader Radio Indie Alliance network, which lends these charts a kind of international authority. You can explore and listen to all of these tracks and the extended top 25 for each list by visiting www.onlyrockradio.com. That is your portal for everything we're about to discuss today.
And it's also worth noting there's this fundamental tension that you see reflected in these lists. It's this battle between rock's sort of nostalgic analog heart.
The classic riff and groove.
Exactly. That and its hyper-modern, atmospheric, and sometimes politically charged digital future. We'll be using that tension, I think, to frame our discussions across the next 5 segments.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this and dive right into the foundation. Section 1. This is the heavy hitters, the defining sound of TIORR1. This is their core rotation list.
The flagship.
It's the flagship. If TIORR had a single calling card for the week, this would be it. Historically, TIORR1, it leans into the heaviest, most straightforward, often hard-rocking sound. It's their statement list.
It really sets the central rock pulse. You should think less about genre experimentation here and more about just maximize sonic impact. This is the sound designed to be played loud.
Right, in the car.
In the car, over club speakers. It validates the foundational elements of rock and roll, aggression, speed, and just those undeniable hooks.
And leading that charge at number 1, making a very definitive statement for the start of the year, we have Blacklist Union topping the chart with the track DYIN for You. That aggressive, fully capitalized title, it just instantly suggests a very specific aesthetic, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The capitalization is a choice. We're talking hard rock here, potentially drawing really heavily from that late 80s or early 90s sleaze rock scene, but delivered, of course, with modern production fidelity.
So that placement at number 1, it's not accidental.
Not at all. It speaks to a current audience appetite for that kind of high-octane, guitar-driven swagger. The title, DYN for You, it implies both an emotional urgency and this theatrical exaggeration. Those are hallmarks of bands that really thrive in a large venue setting.
So if we were to just, speculate on the production, what are we hearing?
You'd be looking for a really compressed drum sound, probably a heavily saturated guitar tone with a tight mid-range, and a vocalist who uses a melodic but slightly raspy delivery. It's all designed to just punch through the mix.
But doesn't that raise a question? I mean, topping the chart with a song that sounds so aesthetically retro, almost like a direct homage to the Sunset Strip, is that an endorsement of the genre's cyclical nature, or is it a sign that listeners are, seeking refuge in the familiar?
I think that's the genius of it. It's familiar language without being stale. They take the energy of the past and then they deploy it with the sonic clarity of 2026 production.
Okay.
So it provides that adrenaline rush, but without the sort of muddy quality of some of the older recordings. It's hard rock refined. And its #1 spot proves that that specific language is dominating the station's core.
Following right up, keeping that energy way up high at #2, we have the Metal Byrds with Momentum. Now, the name Metal Byrds suggests a blend to me. Maybe melodic metal or heavy rock fused with a classic 60s or 70s rock sensibility. But the title, Momentum, it just screams relentless drive.
It does. Momentum suggests a track that is just built on a foundation of tempo and propulsion. Conceptually, this is a track that just won't let you slow down.
Right.
Sonically, this probably translates to a fast 44-meter, maybe 160 BPM, driven by double-kick drumming and these tightly synchronized guitar and bass lines. It's less of the theatrical swagger of Blacklist Union and more focused driving purpose. The Metal Byrds are delivering a heavy track that is clean, precise, and all about forward movement.
And then slipping into #3, we have a Vinyl Floor with Mr. Rubinstein. Now, Vinyl Floor immediately flags a deep-rooted interest in, analog sound and classic rock heritage.
70s, maybe early 80s.
Yeah, sure. But then you have this narrative element, Mr. Rubinstein.
It immediately demands your attention to the lyrics. By naming a track after a specific individual, Vinyl Floor is shifting the focus from that generalized rock anthem to something more like nuanced storytelling.
A character study.
Exactly. A detailed character study, perhaps about a specific, memorable encounter. And that really sets it apart from the high-octane tracks that are sitting above it. Sonically, we're probably hearing things like organ swells, maybe a slightly looser rhythm section, and a guitar tone that leans less on that tight compression and more on natural tube saturation.
So a sound designed to invoke the warmth of vinyl.
That's the idea, yeah.
Moving into the mid-list, we see that aggressive profile continuing. At #4, Embertears with The Conqueror. I mean, that band name and that track title, that's assertive rock language personified.
Pure, unadulterated assertiveness. The Conqueror implies a theme of victory, of dominance, and maybe battle won. This is often the type of track that's characterized by a soaring vocal chorus, heavy use of power chords, and a structure that just builds dramatically toward a resolution.
The sonic equivalent of a fist pump.
It is.
Yeah.
And the high production value ensures that that aggression is immediate and powerful.
But here's where the curation really gets interesting, I think. It reminds us that rock encompasses so much more than just, epic mythology. At #5, we have Splitsville with the fantastically specific title, I Hate Going to Hutzler's.
I have to wonder if Hutzler's is a real place, or if it's just a stand-in for Universal's suburban frustration.
It has to be, right?
It's a brilliant, jarring contrast to The Conqueror. It signals a pivot toward power pop, or maybe a highly localized garage rock. And power pop, for anyone unfamiliar, is characterized by the melodic sensibility of pop music, but it's delivered with the volume and drive of guitar-based rock.
So short, punchy, catchy tunes.
Instantly catchy, and often focused on these highly specific, relatable experiences.
Exactly. It grounds the list. It takes all the philosophical weight off and just says, hey, we can also be witty and relatable. I have to ask, though, how does something this specific compete with the massive sound of a band like Blacklist Union?
It competes by being sticky. While DYIN to For You is about that universal rock energy, I Hate Going to Hutzler's, creates a shared experience. It proves that TIORR 1 values the memorable hook, whether that hook is a riff or a highly specific, funny lyrical premise. It confirms diversity within their core rock definition.
Shifting back slightly at #6, we have Bedlegs placing 16. The title 16 immediately taps into themes of youth, coming of age, and nostalgia.
It's a foundational rock theme. Rock music has always been, inextricably linked to the intensity and the transformative energy of the teenage years. Bedlegs is likely delivering a track with a very raw, youthful edge, perhaps capturing that early punk energy or maybe focusing on an emotional vulnerability that contrasts with some of the Conquest tracks. It's the moment of reflection within the hard rocking structure.
And at #7, powerful dynamic imagery returns with Keefe and Dancing with the Lightning.
That title evokes so much. High voltage energy, danger, excitement. If we think about the instrumentation, it suggests a display of virtuosity.
Like a guitar solo.
Oh, for sure. It implies complex arrangements, fast-sweeping guitar lines, that's the lightning, and a dynamic structure that mirrors the unpredictable nature of a storm. Keefe is positioning this track as a showcase of technical, high-impact rock.
Closing out Tier 1, as we get to the bottom here, we start to see the energy shift a little bit toward introspection. At #8, we have Crymwav with the philosophical title, Speak No Evil.
This introduces a necessary darker, perhaps more controlled element to the list. After all the high-volume aggression, Speak No Evil suggests a focus on consequence, or silence, or some suppressed truth.
So musically, how would that translate?
Sonically, this might be a track that uses silence or negative space very effectively, building tension through a more deliberate, measured pace. It really rounds out the emotional spectrum of what is, at its heart, the heaviest list.
Followed by the Major Resolve offering Memories at number 9. The Major Resolve is a very commanding band name.
It is. And pairing that strong, definitive band name with a title like Memories suggests a track dedicated to addressing the past head-on. Not wistfully, but with a definitive, perhaps somewhat melancholy conclusion. It's structured storytelling rock, providing a sense of closure or a strong emotional conclusion, likely utilizing a driving rhythm to anchor all that reflection.
And finally, rounding out the top 10, we have Investigator with the single powerful word, change.
A forward-looking statement, and it fits the band name perfectly, doesn't it? An investigator seeks truth and progress.
And change is the result of that.
Exactly. Change is the result of that investigation. It ends their flagship list on this note of looking forward, driven by purpose. So if we synthesize TIORR, it's a powerful roadmap. It starts with raw, hard-rocking power, moves through wit and storytelling, and then ultimately resolves with purpose and a forward drive.
That's the core. But now we shift gears pretty dramatically. We move to section 2, tier 2. If tier 1 is the brawn, I feel like tier 2 is the brain and the atmosphere.
What's so fascinating here is just how deliberate that tonal shift is.
Yeah.
Tier 2 is the conceptual space. It moves away from straightforward hard rock, and it leans into alternative rock, progressive elements, and sometimes the darker, more atmospheric soundscapes that really require sustained listening.
Leading that charge at number 1 is Mindless Hope dominating with Infinite Blue. I mean, those two phrases together, Mindless Hope and Infinite Blue, it suggests a massive, endless sonic canvas.
The juxtaposition is the entire point. Mindless Hope implies this almost irrational, vast optimism, which is married perfectly to the sheer endless expanse suggested by Infinite Blue. This is almost certainly an immersive, highly produced track.
So what are we talking genre-wise?
Likely what we would classify as modern shoegaze or atmospheric progressive rock.
For those who might be unfamiliar with that specific terminology, what are the sonic giveaways of modern shoegaze?
You're looking for a dense layering of sound, particularly with the guitars. They're often heavily affected by chorus, flange, and massive amounts of cleat reverb. The vocals tend to be buried a little bit in the mix, acting more as another instrument than a lead voice. And it often occupies a mid-tempo, 44-meter. The goal is to create an auditory wall, a sound designed to envelop you, the listener, rather than simply entertain you. It's an exercise in scale, which contrasts sharply with the tight focus of TIORR.
The runner-up track just reinforces that challenging aesthetic. We have Drugs and Sport placed second with Frequently Sideways. The name and the title are so unconventional, it suggests a band that really enjoys challenging rhythmic expectations.
The name itself suggests a kind of wry commentary on high-stakes performance and, blurred reality. Frequently Sideways often translates musically to shifting meters, complex syncopation, or even intentional dissonance. This is the list for the listener who values complexity and intellectual engagement. It's a track that might not be immediately catchy, but it rewards repeated, attentive listens.
Moving into the mid-ranks of Tier 2, we find some really potent imagery. At number 3, Mad Wet Sea with Devil Has Come. A classic rock theme, the devil. But it's refracted through a band name that suggests these overwhelming forces of nature.
Well, Mad Wet Sea implies turmoil, chaos, unpredictability. And pairing that with Devil Has Come suggests a confrontation with destructive elements, either internal or external. Sonically, this could mean a heavy use of dynamic shifts, quiet, moody verses that just explode into loud, chaotic choruses. That gives it an alternative or maybe even a slightly gothic rock texture.
And number 4 maintains that intensity with Jordyn Rayne and the track Hound. Just pure aggression translated into sound.
Relentless pursuit, that's what that says. A driving beat, often with a powerful bluesy metal inflection. This track is unlikely to deviate from its mission of intensity. It's the sonic equivalent of being chased. Just focused energy, high tempo, and guaranteed rhythmic intensity.
Then we get this momentary, really intriguing contradiction at number 5. Astral Rock and the travel-themed Bags Packed, a cosmic name with a very grounded action.
And that's the conceptual rock contradiction we look for. Astral rock, so you're thinking psychedelia, space themes, expansion meets the mundane, mortal action of leaving.
Right.
So is it psychedelic rock about a physical journey? Or is it a metaphorical journey to escape? Musically, this might translate to swirling guitar effects and delayed vocals, accompanying a very direct, driving drumbeat. It allows the listener to travel while still remaining grounded in the groove.
And then the necessary injection of just raw power. At number 6, Tommy Gunn making a statement with BALLTEARER. The all caps, the sheer raw aggression of the title, it suggests an undeniable punk or garage rock influence that's just cutting through the atmosphere.
It's the sonic punch in the face.
Yeah.
TR2 needs moments that break that atmosphere to remind listeners that complexity doesn't always mean soft.
Yeah.
Tommy Gunn delivers that raw, visceral energy. It's probably short, fast, and loud, with minimal production polish. Standing as a stark contrast to the layered reverb of Infinite Blue, it keeps the list honest about its rock designation.
Slotting in at number 7, we see a crucial modern theme with Ironwater's Manufactured Heart. This title immediately links to technology, alienation, and, the loss of authenticity in the digital age.
This title is a profound piece of social commentary. It's often found in industrial rock or alternative rock subgenres that use electronic or synthetic sounds to reinforce that theme of artifice.
So what would we hear?
We would expect to hear heavy, machine-like rhythms, perhaps distorted vocal effects, and highly processed instrumentation to mimic the cold, predictable nature of a manufactured heart. It's thematic rock engaging directly with 21st century anxieties.
Closing out Tier 2, we hit the bottom 3. Robot Hive securing the 8th spot with Heaven's Gate.
Again, very high concept. Robot Hive suggests a technological collective consciousness. Heaven's Gate is a quest for spiritual transcendence, so it's a collision of the machine and the metaphysical. This is progressive rock using high-contrast imagery, likely with complex structures that attempt to musically represent the vastness of that divide.
At 9, we have Greenness with Hilltop. This simplicity really stands out against all the dystopian imagery we've been talking about.
It acts as an intentional sonic palette cleanser. After the chaos and the industrial elements, a simple, nature-focused title like Hilltop suggests acoustic textures. Perhaps folk rock or a stripped-down indie rock that's focused on clear melody and a sense of location. It brings the list back down to earth, providing a moment of calm reflection before the conclusion.
And finally, concluding this list at number 10, we have Duncan C. with Pure Emotion, remastered. We have to address that remastered tag.
Yeah, I have to express just a mild professional skepticism about its placement in a list that's often dedicated to the next wave. The remastered tag signifies a piece of music that has already proven its worth and is just being cleaned up for re-entry.
So what does that say about the list?
It shows that TR2 is not just about brand new material, but it's also about foundational tracks that define this conceptual space. Duncan C. is demonstrating staying power, updating a key track to ensure its sonic quality meets contemporary standards. The track itself, Pure Emotion, suggests a track dedicated to heartfelt, unvarnished expression. So TR2 then is the home for the atmospheric, the intellectual, and the genre-challenging rock that uses sound to explore complex ideas.
Now we make another critical pivot. We move to section 3. Tier 3. If Tier 1 is defined by power and Tier 2 by concept, I think Tier 3 is defined by sheer, unadulterated personality.
Absolutely.
This is the list that pulls from global niches and features artists who prioritize a memorable name and an immediate thematic hook.
Tier R3 is where the inmates run the asylum, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's a glorious, eclectic list that prioritizes theatricality and unique thematic execution over any rigid genre adherence. It is essential for listeners who are seeking the quirky, the unique, and the loud.
Commanding the top spot at number 1 is White Room Nightmare, seizing the top spot with Space Cadet. That name, White Room Nightmare, is instantly intriguing and slightly psychological.
The name combines the sterile clinical imagery of a white room with the psychological dread of a nightmare. When you pair that with Space Cadet, which suggests a state of detachment or trippy disorientation, you're looking at a blend of psychedelic rock and perhaps early alternative rock with a gothic edge.
What's the sound like?
The sound is likely characterized by repetitive, hypnotic riffs and delayed vocals, all designed to disorient the listener and pull them into the psychological space of the band.
Following at number 2, we have The Dead Crowd with Something Real, a very definite, grounding statement coming from a band name that suggests a collective of the disillusioned or the emotionally resurrected.
Yeah, The Dead Crowd is directly aiming for an authentic connection, reacting against a perceived artifice in the music scene. They're asking for something real. This suggests a raw, perhaps lightly lo-fi alternative rock, focused intensely on lyrical authenticity and driving unvarnished instrumentation. It provides that dose of earnestness right at the top of the personality list.
And coming in at number 3, Conrad Noto's American Sound Crew presenting the Outsider's Anthem.
The power of defining your own audience is huge. By explicitly calling it an anthem for the outsiders, they are fostering instant community and a shared identity. The inclusion of American Sound Crew suggests a roots rock or garage influence, focusing on straightforward, driving, highly singable rock music. It's rebellion distilled into a massive, unifying chorus, proving that even garage rock can feel epic when it's dedicated to a cause.
Next, we hit the bands whose names are just designed to stop you in your tracks. At number 4, we have the incredible Schizo Bunny Psycho with Your Majesty. You simply cannot forget that band name.
That name just maximizes the personality score. It's pure, calculated shock and theatrical absurdity. Schizo Bunny Psycho tells you immediately that rules do not apply here. The track title, Your Majesty, introduces irony or grandiosity, possibly framing a track that is fast, chaotic punk rock or garage punk, delivered with a sense of absurd theatrical flair. The name itself is marketing genius for a scene that values the unique above all else.
At number 5, The Sign of Leo placing Conquer Your Soul. This has an aspirational, almost epic quality focusing on internal mastery.
This is motivational, anthemic rock. The Sign of Leo is using symbolic language, drawing from astrological or spiritual themes, to create a track about inner strength and triumph. Musically, this requires powerful dynamics, perhaps soaring vocal lines, and a structure that constantly builds tension toward that moment of conquest. It fulfills a deep listener need for empowering content.
And then we get a statement of perseverance at number 6 from Katie Kelly and the interruption with Never Too Old to Rock and Roll. This is a direct rallying cry about the enduring, timeless spirit of rock music.
It's validation. It assures the established fans that their dedication is recognized, and it reassures the newer listeners that this genre is indeed timeless. The interruption suggests they are deliberately disrupting the status quo to deliver this essential, foundational rock message. It's the kind of track that focuses on a strong, classic riff and a catchy, memorable, declarative chorus.
Bringing the sheer crushing energy at number 7 is Two Ton Machete with Pigs, Pigs. Note the aggressive capitalization and the simple confrontational track title.
This is visceral rock, defined by weight and brute force. Two Ton Machete implies a crushing sound. Pigs. Pigs is a raw, confrontational chant, likely delivered over massive, heavily distorted, repetitive riffs. This falls into the realm of proto-metal or aggressive stoner rock, where the power of the sound is maximized through volume and relentless repetition.
Closing out TIORR 3, we find these reflective and provocative closers. At number 8, Sunshine Blind with Ghost of You. The name itself is a paradox, light and dark combined.
And that paradox perfectly suits the title. Ghost of You is about the presence of absence, which indicates a potentially moodier gothic rock soundscape. We would expect heavy use of reverb and atmosphere, perhaps minor keys, focusing on a deep emotional texture related to loss and memory. It's emotional depth wrapped in a dramatic sonic package.
Number 9 is Robert Peterson and the Crusade with Change Coming On. Framing change as a crusade really elevates the song's meaning from personal to collective.
Oh, absolutely. The inclusion of the crusade suggests a mission, an earnest push for societal or large-scale change delivered with powerful structured rock. This is often the realm of activist or socially conscious rock, and it requires urgency and determination in its rhythm and delivery.
And the number 10 track is arguably the most brilliant hook on this whole list. Cloud Blood with the politically charged or highly intriguing title, Deny, Defend, Depose. Free Luigi.
That parenthetical Free Luigi is just a masterstroke of personalization. The main title is 3 strong, action-oriented verbs, suggesting confrontational, high-stakes political or legal themes. But a Free Luigi instantly suggests a specific personal cause, an inside joke, or a unique context that absolutely hooks you as a listener.
Right.
It compels you to ask, who is Luigi, and why does he need freeing? This is personality rock using narrative curiosity as its main weapon. So TIORR 3, in summary, is the celebration of thematic originality and high-definition personality.
Okay, we've covered the power, the concept, and the personality. Now we shift gears completely for Section 4, TIORR Groover. This designation immediately signals a difference in priority.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the groover list implies a radical shift from speed and complexity to rhythmic foundation. This is music focused on the pocket. You're thinking blues influence, funk rock, stoner rock, or classic laid-back but driving sounds. The riff is the center, but the rhythm section is the absolute heart.
The pulse is paramount here. This list is for music that moves the listener physically, driven by undeniable bass lines and heavy drums, even if the overall tempo is more mid-pace.
And leading the Groover list at number 1 is the unforgettable Jesus Chrysler Supercar with horseshoes and hand grenades.
That band name is a powerful, almost blasphemous collision of ideas. It implies high-octane theatrical flair, and you couple that with horseshoes and hand grenades, which refers to that concept of close enough that high-impact work doesn't need to be technically perfect, just powerfully executed.
Right.
It implies massive riff-driven rock with a heavy rhythmic foundation, probably stoner or heavy blues. It's defined by its swagger and its sheer sonic weight.
We would expect huge fuzzy guitar tones that occupy the low end of the frequency spectrum, deep round bass, and often a halftime feel on the drums to emphasize the hypnotic, repetitive nature of the groove. This is rock designed to be felt in the chest cavity, not just heard.
Right on their heels, number 2 directly supports the genre with Dukes of Roots and Stoner's Paradise.
I mean, that is a literal genre declaration. Dukes of Roots signals a grounded, bluesy approach, and Stoner's Paradise promises the key elements of stoner rock. Heavy, hypnotic, often mid-tempo riffs designed for deep, rhythmic immersion. Stoner rock typically draws heavily from 70s psychedelic rock and doom metal, and is characterized by a wall of sound delivery and themes of escapism.
At number 3, we have Berthold Kusero with The Shredder. Although the list is groove-focused, technical skill is still clearly valued when it's paired with a strong rhythmic structure.
This placement suggests that the groove provides the necessary framework, but the instrumentation elevates the content above mere repetition. Berthold Kusero is likely a guitar virtuoso, deploying highly technical, fast runs, the shredding, over a bedrock of thick, bluesy, driving rhythm. It's technicality that serves the beat, not distracts from it.
Moving into the midsection, we get a little southern flavor. At number 4, Faye and the Mockingbirds with the evocative Southern Breeze.
This immediately implies Americana, Southern rock, or blues rock music rooted deeply in storytelling and atmosphere. We'd expect to hear slide guitar, perhaps a prominent piano or organ, and lyrical content focused on specific landscapes, tradition, and atmosphere. The Mockingbirds reference adds a layer of vocal mimicry or lyrical complexity, suggesting a band that borrows from many traditions.
Number 5 features Aggressor's poetry with My World. The band name itself strongly suggests rhythmic, spoken word, or lyrical rock, where the groove is established by the vocal cadence as much as the instrumentation.
This is where the cadence and timing become paramount. It suggests influences similar to Rage Against the Machine, or even aspects of hip-hop delivery fused with a heavy rock sound. The groove is used to deliver highly potent, aggressive lyrical content, focusing on rhythmic punch over melodic sweep. This is why it sits squarely in the Groover list. It's driven by timing.
At number 6, Watmore offers Canadian Whiskey. That title feels steeped in a gritty, bluesy narrative suggesting introspection and a slower, heavier groove.
Canadian Whiskey is a sonic signifier for atmosphere and introspection. It suggests a track about long nights, heartbreak, and gritty, blues-soaked storytelling. Musically, this would likely be slow to mid-tempo, relying on the sustain of the guitar and the depth of the bass line to convey that smoky, reflective mood.
Followed by smashing again with To the End of Days at number 7, a big apocalyptic title delivered with a rhythmic punch.
While To the End of Days could suggest doom metal, its placement in the Groover list implies that Smashing Again utilizes a heavy, powerful, almost hypnotic rhythm to establish that sense of overwhelming finality. The groove makes the apocalyptic feel inevitable and inescapable rather than just fast and chaotic.
Closing out the Groover list, we have Rise at number 8 with Lost for Words.
A track that is likely emotionally powerful, relying on the musical composition and the rhythm to convey an emotional weight that words cannot express. It suggests a track with powerful dynamic shifts building up and pulling back, using silence and rhythm to communicate profound feeling.
Number 9 features M at With Lucky. The abbreviated name and the short, punchy title suggest a concise, maybe garagey or blues punk track that nonetheless has a driving, immediate beat.
M at maintains a slight mystery, but Lucky implies an immediate, universal theme delivered with maximum rhythmic efficiency. It's the kind of track that relies purely on a killer, instantly memorable riff to carry that good fortune vibe. It's purely groove-driven.
And finally, Helen Counts rounding it off with Unravel at number 10.
Unravel implies a slow, deliberate coming apart, a dynamic that must be executed with precise rhythmic control to be effective. Hail and Cows is likely delivering a soulful, possibly blues-adjacent track that uses the groove to convey increasing tension and an eventual breakdown. The TIORR Groover list perfectly demonstrates that all forms of rock, from stoner riffs to bluesy narratives, are unified by that strong foundational beat.
We've covered 40 tracks across 4 highly specific environments, but now we arrive at Section 5, the most exciting list for listeners focused on discovery, the TIORR Emerging Artists list. This is the pipeline.
Zoom out for a second. This list is a direct indicator of the future sound of rock. These are the bands TIORR has identified as breaking out right now. This is where you find the biggest risks and highest rewards in terms of new sound profiles.
And leading that charge at number 1, we have Jennifer Teft and the Strange with Salt and the Sea. That name suggests a powerful vocalist leading a band dedicated to atmospheric or complex sound profiles, maybe blending alternative rock with singer-songwriter sensibilities.
Salt in the Sea is immediately evocative. It suggests vastness, emotional complexity, and perhaps a slightly raw, abrasive edge. We would expect an atmospheric track, likely with huge emotional builds, where the instrumentation supports a soaring vocal performance. This sets a high bar for emerging talent. It demands presence and dynamic control.
Tracks 2 and 3 provide an immediate contrast in aesthetics, which shows the breadth of new talent. At number 2, we have the Young Hasselhoffs with Come Back Marie.
The band name, the Young Hasselhoffs, is brilliant. It combines humor, a pop culture reference, and nostalgia. This suggests a power pop or fast garage rock influence, relying on immediate hooks and high energy. But Come Back Marie signals a serious, perhaps heartbroken narrative underneath all that levity. It's a hook designed to get you in the door, but the music has to possess a genuine emotional core to top this list. It proves that humor and high-quality songwriting are still powerful tools for emerging success.
And then number 3 is Gary Dranow with Digital Intoxication. This track title immediately connects to contemporary themes and the sound of modern digital-era rock.
This is the antithesis of the Hasselhoffs' nostalgia. This is rock engaging directly with high-speed, over-caffeinated modern life. Digital Intoxication is likely a track infused with electronic elements, dealing with technology overload, reflecting the overwhelming nature of constant connection. The sound itself might feel hyper-processed and immediate, matching the thematic urgency.
Moving into the diverse aesthetics of the emerging ranks, at number 4, we have the Chelsea Curve placing Rally Round. This title suggests a band with a strong, unified message, perhaps leaning into a mod revival or a highly melodic power pop sound.
Rally Round is a unifying, energetic call to action. The name, the Chelsea Curve, has a classic, almost 60s British sensibility, but they are clearly delivering something fresh and compelling enough to break through today. It's rock built around community and strong shared purpose.
Number 5 is the Won't Quit Band with Gate 1. The band name itself conveys an immediate sense of determination.
When an emerging band chooses a name like that, they're setting an expectation for unrelenting energy and passion. Gate 1 implies a threshold, the beginning of a difficult journey, or the first stage of a committed effort. It suggests a driving, dynamic rock sound focused on overcoming obstacles and persevering through sheer musical tenacity.
Holding number 6 is Jim Bathnight with Get It On. Simple, declarative, and indicating a classic rock or garage rock sensibility that's surviving and thriving in new artists.
Get It On is timeless rock language. It's direct, energetic, and party-ready. It demonstrates that the fundamentals of rock and roll, the energy, the simplicity, the hook, remain essential ingredients for emerging success. Jim Bathnight proves that sometimes the simplest declaration, delivered with unbridled energy, is the most effective.
And at number 7, we have the Easy Outs and Gimme Gimme Love, another classic immediate rock request.
The Easy Outs is a name that suggests effortless cool and confidence. Gimme Gimme Love is pure, essential rock and roll yearning. It's the kind of track that focuses on a strong, simple hook and driving instrumentation that captures that basic emotional demand without complication. It's a return to basics for new talent.
Finally, we reach the atmospheric and narrative closers for the emerging artists list. At number 8, Salvation Row with High Plains. This suggests influences from wide-open, perhaps cinematic landscapes.
High Plains evokes a sense of vast space, maybe a slightly desolate or cinematic sound. Salvation Row is likely tapping into a roots-driven, atmospheric alternative rock sound that uses a sense of place to define the emotional tone of the song. Think big guitars and wide, echoing vocals.
Number 9 is James Clark Institute offering It's Still Snowing Outside, a track title that just paints a clear, cold atmosphere, instantly indicating indie rock or a deeply atmospheric soundscape.
This is narrative and atmospheric rock at its finest. The track title creates an immediate, visceral mood, cold, isolated, reflective. It's moody, perhaps melancholic, and requires the listener to absorb the feeling of the environment James Clark Institute has created. This is texture rock, demonstrating the depth of lyrical and thematic storytelling in the emerging scene.
And concluding the list at 10, Huck 2 with Reunion, a single, hopeful, or maybe reflective word to close out the future of rock.
Reunion implies resolution, or a coming together after separation. It's a note of closure, which is fitting for the end of the list. The emerging artists list is an absolutely vital snapshot of rock's vitality, showing that new talent is drawing inspiration from classic rock hooks, modern digital themes, and deep atmospheric storytelling, ensuring the genre's continued evolution.
So what does this all mean? We've covered 50 distinct tracks across 5 categories, spanning the hyper-focused hard rock of Tier 1, the atmospheric conceptualism of Tier 2, the high-personality energy of Tier 3, the rhythmic pulse of Tier Groover, and the fresh, determined sounds of Tier emerging artists.
It means that independent rock is not just surviving, it is segmenting itself to thrive. The sheer incredible variety we've seen, from the sleaze rock revival of Blacklist Union to the high-concept commentary of N-Water, confirms that the genre has fractured into these highly specialized yet globally competitive niches. The value of these 5 segmented lists is precisely that clarity. You don't just know what's popular generally, you know exactly which niche is currently thriving and why a curator, like TIORR, is making these specific choices to satisfy distinct listener demands.
This level of segmentation is a masterclass in independent music curation. By creating 5 distinct homes for different styles, TIORR is giving every subgenre a chance to define its own success criteria. And we want to reiterate that this is only the top 10 of each list. There's a top 25 for every single one of these categories, offering 75 more unique artists and tracks for you to discover.
And if you heard a band name or a track title that resonated, whether it was the high-voltage energy of Brian Keefe's Dancing with the Lightning, the heavy stoner grooves of Jesus Chrysler Supercar, or the unapologetic theatricality of Schizo Bunny Psycho, you need to experience the full sonic context.
That brings us to our crucial call to action. To dive deeper, to listen to all 50 of these tracks, explore the extended top 25 lists for yourself, and discover why independent rock is thriving through this kind of focused curation, you have to visit the source of all this great music, www.onlyrockradio.com.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to chew on. If this segmentation is the new reality of rock music, does defining a niche such as groover or emerging make it dramatically easier for new artists to find and build a dedicated global audience within that micro-genre? Or does the very act of being categorized limit their overall crossover potential, forever constraining them to that specific sonic ecosystem? How does this intentional genre segmentation benefit the artist versus the audience? That's your deep dive homework.
We'll catch you next time.